Hey YouTube, good day. Hey, so just a quick video with some random thoughts for the day. But this is appropriate song. Definitely, I think America is living on a prayer, if nothing else, hanging by a thread. But one thing I wanted to talk about, in that vein, I guess, and you see the arguments with this new gun control debate going back and forth, and those entrenched in it, we continue to refer back to the founders. We continue to refer back to the words of the founders and what they thought and what they believed. I think we need a reminder that that's not doing any good to the person that you're directing that at. The person that is talking about repealing the Second Amendment, the person that is talking about all these confiscation measures and all that those other tactics they're talking about using, and those objectives that they have. Talking about the founders and the principles and the foundations of this country is doing no good. Arguing that to them, you're not gonna get through to them. They don't believe in it. They've been taught to hate it. They will never accept those rationale, those thoughts. Otherwise, they wouldn't be where they are. When you direct those type of not attacks, counter arguments, when you direct that type of message to them, you're talking to everybody else listening. You're talking to everybody else watching, whether it's on social media, in chat rooms, on the internet, here on YouTube. When I make those arguments, we talk about the founders. We're not talking about the die-hard John Paul Stevens, who used to be a Supreme Court justice. We're not making a rational argument to him. We're talking about everybody else that's watching. Because John Paul Stevens, who supposedly understands the Constitution, was a Supreme Court justice, talks about repealing the Second Amendment. He has no grounding in the founders and their principles and the principles of the Constitution. His principles and founding is in the judicial system, in his training, in his lawyerism, and what he became as a judge. That's all. That's where he rests. And so, it's a completely different argument when you're talking to those people. There's this, it's not a meme, but it's a photo of a sign taken from the protests this week. Do you value freedom more than your safety? Or isn't your safety more important than freedom, or something like that? A lady holding up a sign in front of there. Isn't safety more important than freedom? Is freedom really more important than safety? Something like that. I can't remember what it was. And then everybody adds the Benjamin Franklin quote underneath, or just puts Benjamin Franklin picture under it, like, yes, it is. That's the point. Freedom is more important than safety. But the argument to that person, to tell them that's precisely what the founders said, that freedom is more important than safety, otherwise you'll have neither, you're not talking to that person. That person's off the rails. They're lost. But everybody else listening, to anybody else paying attention to the argument, that's the only person you can rationalize with. The people that are trying to understand it, to trying to develop an opinion, that's who those arguments have to be directed at, or are directed at, whether you like it or not. Because that's the only person you're going to get through to. You're not going to get through to the dyed-in-the-wool Cuban flag-wearing communist about what the Second Amendment freedoms, the First Amendment, the constitutional principles, and the foundation of that. It's not going to get through to them. They're off. They're gone. It's not even worth arguing. So, just a reminder and just some thoughts there, folks, to really remember things, that don't get frustrated. You feel like you're banging your head on a keyboard, maybe in some chat rooms or here on YouTube or elsewhere in family discussions or whatever. Just remind yourself you're not going to get through to those who are already talking about confiscation and repealing the Second Amendment. You're not going to get through, and don't expect to. But as a sounding board, and to reiterate the logic of your argument, when you put it out there, it's everybody else that's trying to pick a side. Most people recognize the confiscation and the Second Amendment repeal as being just non-starters. Most people understand that in their own logical process. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. And then when you bring up the stats about, places where gun confiscation has occurred, genocide happens, shortly thereafter. But to develop that further and bring them over to your side about, hey, this is what the founders really meant by the Second Amendment. Nothing to do with hunting, all these other things we bring up. The real purpose, and that's where you got to pick away at the low-lying fruit, I guess, at those that are ripe to pick, that are ripe to come over to understanding and these principles. More people now than ever that in my 10 years plus of discussing these issues, more people now than ever understand the need of a well-organized militia, and that the militia is the whole of the people that they never thought would understand it before. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't stop arguing. Don't stop the message. However you get that message out, whether it's within your own organization, or family, structure, community, wherever it is that you're putting your voice out to, or putting, your argument out to. Don't quit now. Thinking that the jackboot's going to come and get you just because you're voicing your opinion now only proves the point that we have to be out there doing it. So just that's the only reason that would shut you up, right? Is concern of the police state coming to confiscate your guns, at any moment around the corner. That's why I haven't shut up, and I've essentially seen it right there in front of me, that they're present and waiting for an excuse. But you got to keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. You can't. So even if a lot of people aren't doing it here on YouTube, that's great. There's other places to send the message and to establish those principles with people and to get them on board. And that, no matter where you're doing that at, it's important. So just some thoughts, YouTube. Live free.